JavaScript, like other programming languages and software products, has different versions. These versions follow and implement a standard known as ECMAScript. In 2015, ECMAScript released a new standard that came with a lot of syntactical sugar, which means different syntax that could be used. This version of ECMAScript is known as ES6 or ES 2015. A lot of the syntax introduced allows for JavaScript to be written in a more object-oriented approach by introducing a coding construct called classes. In this lesson, we won't touch on classes just yet, but we will focus on a handful of other extremely useful changes that ES6 introduced. To start, let's take a look at how we typically declare a variable. We use the var keyword, give the variable a name, and then usually assign a value to it. In ES6, we are given two additional keywords that can be used to declare a variable, let and const. To best understand the difference between the three ways we can now declare variables, let's take a look at some code examples. The let keyword allows us to declare a variable that only exists within a block scope. That means that at the end of any block where the variable was declared, whether that be a loop, function, if statement, etc., the variable no longer exists. This also enables us to use the same variable name in a block that would shadow or override an existing variable with the same name. For example, if we have var x equals 10, and then we have some kind of block, and we say let x equal 2, up here x is equal to 10, and here x is equal to 2, but out here x is again still equal to 10. This x came into existence in this block and then left existence after that block. So normally if we said this, x equals 2, x would then still be 2 out here. But the let keyword allows us to say within this block, x is this new value, and it doesn't impact the x outside of this block. If we were to have used var instead of let, it would have just changed the original variable's value. Const is the other keyword that was provided, and it is used to create a constant. That means that we cannot change the value of a variable once it is set. This is useful for when we have values that we want to give a name and then never change that value. An example from math that we're familiar with is the constant pi. Let's look at an example of declaring a constant and see what happens if we try to change its value. So if I come down here and say const, we'll go with pi, equals 3.14159, and we print const, console.log, where we print pi. Again, it's a normal variable. The only difference is we can't change the value. And then we try to change the value. So pi equals 6. And try to print that out. Save this. Open this in our default browser. Take a look at our console. We can see we printed out the first one, but then we got an error, assignment to a constant variable. So it actually enforces it and says, no, you cannot change the value of a constant. And it even tells us it's at line 10 in our JavaScript in our index.js file. Line 10, this is where we're trying to change the value. So this is very powerful. If we want to have constant values that don't change, we can now enforce them so that we or other developers don't accidentally try to change them.